we talk financial inclusion and we try to measure it by the banked versus unbanked percentage of the population, I believe this concept itself is outdated because if you see in Africa, mobile money was born in Kenya. And I just read an article yesterday that M-Shwari, which is a system that allows people to make saving using mobile money, hits last year $500 billion. So, I mean, I know that there are still a lot to be done, and Africa is still behind in many aspects when it comes to financial inclusion. But I believe there are alternatives. There's a revolution which is happening in the fintech, in mobile money, in other new innovative ways, that creates a new kind of ecosystem when it comes to payments. And although there are still, there are like regulations that needs to be used to really facilitate the development of that sector. But I believe Africa is on the right track, So for me, it's very difficult to, use statistics about like bank versus unbanked to really quantify like financial inclusion. If you look at the way it has been happening, instead of trying to, open bank account to all of those people, I believe what needs to happen is what is already happening is allowing African people to use alternative technologies such as mobile money to start, benefiting from other type of services such as loans, such as, being able to make payments, being able to transact online. So ultimately, the definition of financial inclusion is being able to access those type of services. I need a loan to finance my business, so I'm able to get it through the channel that I'm using, which can be mobile money, which can be a bank account, and so on. So, of course, there are works to be done. The regulation needs to be looked at to facilitate the development of these new alternate kind of payment systems. And also, one thing I believe which is important is they are quite fragmented. So interoperability is something I believe which is very important, where government needs to really play a role in bringing together those fragmented kind of fintechs and fintech solutions that can really make sure that people can take full advantage of the development of this financial ecosystem in general. Those payment systems such as mobile money started in a way allowing, people to transfer value, stored value with money from one individual to the other, to someone living in the remote. But now they are being used for many different purposes today. You can go, you buy, you using mobile money, you can make transfer and so on. So now what I have been seeing in many countries is there are a few aggregators. They obtain license from the government in order to really aggregate and allow cross kind of platforms payment, But this is where I believe many countries are taking the right steps in the right direction by stepping in as central bank, the same way they did for traditional banks, to put in place interoperability platforms, such as the one that we have developed internally at Global Voice Group, which allows to bring all the fragmented payment system. When mobile money started, and it started with providing basic services. So now it kept evolving, new other services are being added. And now we are reaching this stage where, of course, we are realizing that those systems can be operating in silos. And that's why, there are many initiatives in many countries where government and private sectors are really working to really provide interoperability. So in our case, for example, we just launched recently a platform called Transfin. It's a platform that assists from a government standpoint to provide interoperability at a country level. And it also takes into account many needs and requirements government might need when it comes to interoperability. Being able as a government to make payments regardless of the channel, banks, mobile money, to the public sector employees, being able to pay social programs and stuff like that. So those are areas where we shouldn't look at why do we need interoperability. It's also because we believe it can bring a lot of value to all the stakeholders and participants in the whole ecosystem. I wouldn't say that Africa, doesn't have interoperability. I believe, there have been, for the past few years, very fast development in the fintech, in mobile money, in more sophisticated transactions happening on top of mobile money. And now this natural evolution requires like more integration, require like for those different, payment solutions can speak with each other, So we are at this stage, and government agencies such as central banks, and you have private sectors. Now, it's a movement that have already started. So how can we create like a framework where those different systems can speak with each other? Because this way, it can benefit all, the citizens, the population really participating in this whole digital economy. Central bank is already involved. As a central bank, they set the rules or anything related to monetary policy. They have in place rules and guidelines to monitor compliance and to fight money laundering and to control CTF, KYC. They've already involved. Now, what I believe has to happen is further involvement to really facilitate like more integration between different fragmented ecosystem, where, for example, the same way they are doing the settlement for all the banks and between like transactions and stuff like that, they need also to consider mobile money as really another part of the whole payment system that needs to be integrated within the same framework, and looking at them as innovative solutions and put in place the right policies and to really accommodate those new innovative solutions. As I say, central bank is already involved, and now it's a matter of, setting the right rules and policies to create that integration, to make sure to bring everyone on board. And I think it will happen seamlessly, So I don't see it as a problem. It's the opposite. I see it's a great opportunity, really, I believe Wanda also set the example when it comes to the use of ICT for, good governance. And I think it's just a step in the right direction. You are a client of a small company. You are able to transact and to access, like products from the other different companies. So I believe it can even help the small ones, because if you have the main company providing like the usual service and stuff like that, so the small player coming in, if he cannot have access to almost the whole population, which like a gateway can provide, I think it can slow down even its development. So I believe, and then there are also rules where the government can say, listen, no, you need to allow this innovative solution to be connected, you as the biggest player in the market, to your platform. This way, you can really allow those kind of development to really be successful. So I think it can bring benefits to the small players. I believe, reaching financial inclusion or taking steps to reach financial inclusion and can solve a lot of problems, not all the problems. Okay, so I believe, yes, of course, and by having big part of the economy migrating to the digital economy, where all transactions happen online, the authorities, central banks especially, and the financial intelligence unit has more capabilities to really oversee and monitor compliance and fight more effectively against money laundering. By the way, these are solutions that we have as Global Voice Group. We have provided to many central banks and telecom regulators, like in Tanzania, in Rwanda, in Uganda, in Ghana, in Congo, Brazzaville. They are using that platform that we provide. But when it comes to, certain kind of frauds, of course, there are other regulations that need to be in place. And of course, having the right tool to monitor the compliance, I think that will be very useful. We consider ourselves to be pioneer in RegTech in Africa, RegTech, regulatory technology. So we've been working in many countries, or we've been working in the continent for the past 20 years. And we started by providing solutions to the newly created telecom regulators, like when the market become liberalized with having the new MNOs coming in. So the telecom regulators needed tools to really monitor compliance on what is happening in terms of like market pricing, quality of service, and so on. So this is how it started. But over the years, we kept developing new solutions for the telecom regulators so they can keep up with the development of the telecom sector in general. And as you know, the telecom sector represents the backbone of the digital economy on which many other services have been deployed, such as mobile money. So today, I can tell you we have developed solutions. Anything that a telecom regulator needs today, we at GVG, when it comes to use ICT to really help them, we have some quality of service starting, traffic monitoring, revenue assurance monitoring. We have like different solutions in that aspect. So what we have also done is develop solutions such as mobile money monitoring, adding the AML capabilities for them to monitor the AML monitoring, like this compliance monitoring. So we have developed a solution in that sense. We're also working now in developing solutions related to identities because we believe, this is a cornerstone of really to allow the development and financial inclusion. People need to be identified in many countries. People are talking about digital identity, but even the simple ID is not in place. Okay, so we are busy really in our research and development unit developing solutions that goes into how like even the basic ID can be translated into digital ID. And one of the last solutions we just launched is this interoperability solution, Transfin, because we saw that governments really they are promoting the use of new like innovative solutions such as mobile money, kind of mobile payments and so on, but they don't necessarily use it. So we said, okay, why don't we come and just help bring together a fragmented ecosystem and at the same time provide different applications to governments such as payroll management, where the government can pay people directly on mobile money, or the government, so there's no need to give a check that you go and get cash. So that will even streamline the whole process of payroll, like social program, like pension. So we put a comprehensive platform based on what we understood to be a big part of the problem of really digitizing the whole payment system, where government as one of the player is lagging, is kind of behind when it comes to the use of this kind of payment systems. That's how we came up with that new platform. Yeah. Our solution have been deployed in more than 15 African countries. 15, and today I can tell you we are finalizing the implementation in countries like Zimbabwe, and we work like in Central Africa, in West Africa, in many countries like Ghana, Senegal. And it's just like whenever we speak with decision makers, and because one of the key components of our solution is about big data. It's about collect data in order to dig in them and monitor compliance. Okay, so it's a data-driven kind of policy. Because one of the issues we saw in the past is, still in many countries, government relies on, okay, they define a new policy, new regulation. So they are waiting to see the impact of that. But having ICT tools such as the one we provide, they are able to, in real time, collect all the necessary information to see how efficient is that new policy or new regulation. So that also, I believe, the market is ready. I think there are a lot of demands, and then governments are seeing that they can make use of technology as the good allies, in order to achieve their goals as regulatory bodies. Big data is being used. Many companies in Africa already, like the mobile operators, are sitting on a lot of data that they are crunching, and if you look at, there are different programs in different universities in Africa, even here in Rwanda, and that are teaching about like the use of big data. Big data, you have the infrastructure component, and you have like different level of the data can be used. It's more than having big volume of data. It's also about like how you can make them become like actionable intelligence. And this is something that when I said, it's happening in Africa because we exclusively work in Africa, and we've been working with many countries where we provide our solutions that are really based on the use of big data. We are a Pan-African company, and yes, and we are very proud of our identity, and we bring knowledge from all over the world. So we have development center in Spain. We used to have part of our research and development based in Estonia because we believe Estonia, they had a very good, they developed a very good solution when it comes to good governance. So we bring knowledge from all over the world, but we have this Pan-African identity because this is where we started as a company, and this is where we develop solutions that take into account the reality of the African market. What we've seen with the development of fintech, there are new players coming into the market. We have, I don't want to name, but you can have now today remittance from London that links directly to your mobile money account here. So that is, but the problem is, those are the same players trying to offer, these kind of services by partnering with the mobile network operator. So, but I believe by creating the right environment and by providing like the right type of licenses to like innovators here, like to startups within Africa, there are many. I've seen it. I've seen this it's happening already, and I see like the way it's happening in Kenya. There's this company which we invest in, PesaKit, empowering the agents to really, verify KYC. And so I believe there are a lot of things that are happening with the right regulations, and you can see many different players emerge and start providing service at lower price. The other factor also that I believe that will be very useful or very beneficial is the use of the blockchain technology. And by investing in education, and there have been a lot of progress in that, by investing in infrastructure and technologies, there have been a lot of like investment in that sense. By defining the clear vision, I think the leaders also, there are different forums there where they discuss about how to really define the vision like for Africa and for African countries. I believe we are in the right directions to really embark and be successful in this South African revolution. So if you look at, for example, in the past, the players used to be only startups from the US, from Europe that could make it worldwide. But we've seen a few startups from Africa, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from South Africa, that are getting global scale because it's about understanding technologies, about like creating something that can reach the critical mass that can serve both of the population. The guy who sits in his basement in Boston is not smarter than our young guy who went to college and who's sitting in his basement in Kigali. So now I think by this new wave of development and in ICT in general, I think is leveling the playing field, to give us an opportunity to really be successful in that of industrial revolution. If you look at the funding in the startup ecosystem in Africa has been increasing very fast. There have been a lot of funding and funds injection in many like startups hubs in Nigeria, in Kenya, in South Africa. And I believe there are people, the young guys that has an idea, of course, should start working on it and to reach a level where he can start pitching at different level. Today, you can be in Kigali and you are pitching to VCs in LA. So if you have the right solutions and you meet you have the right partners that can really help in that sense. But I believe also the private sector needs to also play a role, by investing in those young startups. Because we at Global Voice Group, this is like we set up a fund a couple of years ago where instead of developing or trying to have in-house research and development, but to start and try to understand startups that have synergies with the kind of business we are in, and we invest in them, we help them accelerate their growth, and they're part of our group. Interesting, and I read a lot, so I think it's not necessarily about technology. So I read about history, about try to really keep myself busy on learning new stuff. So I'm a very curious person, and also try to have some kind of like visit new locations. For example, I live in Madrid in Spain, but whenever I visit a country like Rwanda, I just don't come and have meetings and then leave. So I try to go and visit the countryside to discover these new cultures. I'm very, those kind of things I really like and enjoy. And also, of course, try to create time to have like to for exercise and sports and stuff like that. So it's kind of I would say a mix of different kind of activities. Yeah. Not necessarily related to technologies. I'm originally from Haiti, by the way. Okay, so so I was really fortunate to like see how Africa, the landscape when it comes to ICT, is changing. I remember my first trip to Africa was to Gambia, and back then I saw that how a whole country they had like an antenna of 10 megabytes to provide internet for the whole country. So today on your smartphone you have more than 30 megabytes for you to. So I've seen, and I've had the chance and privilege to visit more than 30, or to spend more than a week, more than once in more than 30 African countries. So since then, I see how technology has really helped in changing lives, and this is something that I think there's still a lot to be done, and I'm very passionate about that, and I don't see technology as the end game and the objective. I see it as a mean to really improve socioeconomic life, and then I'm very, very happy to be part of that journey, and that believe that every time I wake up, I say, okay, the technology that I'm advising the government to use can really make a difference in the life of people. There are like a couple of investments made in a few startups from Nigeria recently. Those guys can become quite big. Why not? No, it's definitely. I think, yeah, of course. There are different. You can become a big ICT company, but not doing exactly what Facebook does. So there are many. Maybe you can become a huge IT company that really solves a lot of issues faced in Africa by African people. I know a few of them. They work for Microsoft, for Google, for a while, and then after they learn a lot, and they go and create their own company, and because they believe now they understand how they can apply this technology to solve real problems that are closer to them. Yeah, definitely. I've been coming to Rwanda since 2012 when we entered into an agreement with RURA, the telecom regulator, to provide our telecom monitoring platform. And since then, RURA has been a key partner for us. And Rwanda in general is like one of the countries that I'm very excited to work with, because they are very forward-looking in terms of creating the right environment in the telecom sector, in the financial sector, for the development for the use of ICT to really foster the development of the whole ecosystem. Since the telecom sector is so transversal, it touches different kind of organizations. So the solution we provide to RURA is being used by other government agencies such as Central Bank, for example, to monitor mobile money compliance. And also it's being used by Revenue Authority to look at revenue assurance component of the telecom sector. So Rora is the main, I don't like to say client, but the main partner. And then from there, I mean, we really, exactly, definitely.